For my Apply and Evaluate project, I created a nutrition lesson for high school life skills class. The first activity I chose was called Zoom In. This activity started with a picture and it was covered with different boxes. During this activity, the students chose a number and the picture would slowly get revealed. To make their thinking visible, they had to start making connections and explaining what they thought the picture was. They also had to give reasons for why they thought that the picture was what they thought. So for example, the students were first shown the picture of the protein and they would have to try to figure out what this picture was. Some students thought they were animals and based off of the coloring, and they also thought it was a food item and it was actually a shrimp because the color was pink. The second activity consisted of making a T chart, and they used magazines and cut out and found pictures of foods that were healthy and unhealthy. These are some examples of student work. This activity and this student was a lower level student, and this student was able to explain some of the pictures and identify what the object was, but they struggled in making the connection of why it was healthy or why it was unhealthy. This project is a medium level student, and this student did find healthy and unhealthy items, was able to identify the items, but struggled in making the connection of why the objects were healthy or why they were unhealthy. They also started making more meals like this enchilada, but couldn't explain why it was healthy or unhealthy. The higher level student chose a variety of different healthy items as well as unhealthy items, as well as chose meals and explained why the entire meal was healthy or why the entire meal was unhealthy. Overall, my lesson was successful and really started to see the students' thinking. I also challenged myself to ask questions to prompt my students to start explaining their answers, explaining their reasoning, and making the connections. As the students were completing these activities, I sat with each of them individually and they had to explain to me why they chose that picture and why. Some students were able to make the correction in, for example, they said one item was healthy, and as they started to explain and go through the process of explaining and figuring out the reasoning, they actually self-corrected and were able to make the correction and choose the unhealthy reason and make the correct answer. Overall, the students did a great job. They started thinking and making connections and did spectacular. Throughout this unit, we're going to implement more making thinking visible projects so my students can continue to start thinking visibly.